Wow, that's loud. It's very intense here at the GSL today. Our headsets are very loud. Anyway, we have our red Protoss player in the top left part of Tal'Darim Altar. He is.
NS Hoso Pambas.
Yeah. There he is in his Hozo shirt, wearing his Hozo glasses. And there is our blue Terran player from the Team Slayers down at the bottom left part of GSL Tal'Darim Altar. He's a pretty cool guy if you see him.
Slayers Kanji.
He's got that aura. The aura of cool.
Yeah, man.
And he's going to have to... I think he's going to have to make something different happen if he wants to win this game. He's going to have to maybe get Ghosts a little bit earlier, put more of a focus on that than the Vikings. But it's a tough choice, you know. And in TVP, you see those Colossi, you're like, oh man, I need the Vikings. And then I also need Ghosts, because it's really the Stalkers and the Zelts that are going to be doing a lot of damage.
It's hard to find a balance. It really is.
It is.
And that's one of the biggest challenges of Terran versus Protoss, and that's why a lot of people complained about the High Templar warping, because it was like, well, he can switch so fast back into those storms.
Yeah, man.
And then like he can switch into the Colossi, so it's like, how many Ghosts do I really make? It was very difficult for Terrans to deal with, and in retrospect, when that patch came out, I was very frustrated as a Protoss because I thought it made sense that the storms stay there. But now that I think about it, and when I look back at those old games, I'm like, wow. Imagine if it were like that today, like how difficult Terrans would be, because Protosses have learned how to play this game so much better.
Yeah. And it's, you know, it all really comes down to those EMPs in the late game. If you're going to go late game, Terran versus Protoss, I feel like you really, really need to have amazing EMPs.
Especially if you're playing against that gateway armor that's better upgraded than you, which ends up happening a lot of the time because of Chrono Boost, because you can just do those forges very quickly.
Yep.
I feel like sometimes it's very difficult. Now, we're going to see a 1 barracks expand here from GanZI. Very common build to see on this map.
Oh, yeah.
Second gas going up for vanvanth.
So, once vanvanth sees this, what he could do is pressure with some Stalkers. You know, you've got Marines with no upgrades. You can out-micro a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is a big map, too.
Usually, the Terran will just make a bunker blindly, because those things can happen.
Yep.
You can actually lose games to Zealot Stalker pokes if you don't have a bunker when you do this.
Yeah.
You can actually just lose the game. Like, no matter how good the micro is or the SCV is, you're just like, oh, I guess I just lose.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that feeling.
It's not like Starcraft 1, though, where the first Zealot runs into your base because you didn't wall off perfectly, and you're like microing your heart out with your 2 Marines, and you're like trying to pull SCVs perfectly, even though SCVs have 60 HP, and you like barely kill that one Zealot, and you're like, oh man, and then the second one comes in, you're like, oh, and you just have to GG.
Yeah, man, and Zelts were fast in Brood War. Those guys ran
they were,
like
man.
Crazy. Those like sprinting Olympics runners in Brood War.
I played Terran in Starcraft 1 for those of you guys who didn't know that. When that Zealot came in my base, man, I was just like, I actually just sat, I stood up in my chair and started yelling at the screen.
Just flipped the
This
table.
guy 2-gate proxied me again? Like, I asked him for a re, and then he 2-gate proxied me?
It's like that guy on the ladder yesterday. I met him twice in a row, and he 6-pooled me both games.
Yeah, what did he say? He's like, well, I just like 6-pooling on NA, and you were like, well, I just like messing around on NA.
I don't know. I don't want to talk about that guy.
He's actually like, he's probably watching the GSL right now. He's like, oh, it's the same Doa. Like, I beat that guy with a 6-pool yesterday. He's going to go tell all his friends.
Yep, pretty much. Whoops. I don't know. There's been it's been an interesting experience laddering on NA lately.
Yeah.
It's become a lot more like BM filled than I remember.
Well, it's funny. Koreans were known for all-inning all the time, but when you get to high level on the Korean server, basically it's just about how greedy you can be. People don't all-in, and they just try to be extremely greedy. I play on the NA server. I went back to switch to it, and it actually feels really easy, because all I have to do is just, like when I play PvZ on Zelnai Caverns, all I have to do is make like 4 extra photon cans at my natural, and when the Roach Ling all-in comes, they're like, oh, what? Why did he make those? I'm like, well, I'm playing on NA, and then he's like, and then he just loses.
Yeah.
It's so... I really recommend, guys, if you play on the Korean server, if you can come down to Korea, you get a lot of good practice. If you're not a higher level player, it's not really going to be that beneficial to you. But if you're like a master level player and you really want to get better, come to Korea, because just playing like 20 ladder games, you go back to NA and you'll be like, whoa, this is so easy.
If you're in Korea, come down to the studio. Come down to the Mukdong studio. Check out some GSL.
Yeah, meet us, meet Tastosis.
That's right.
Meet the Mole. The Mole Trap is coming back. We started calling him the Mole. That's going to be his new nickname, man. He's going to hate it, but he's the Mole.
What he hated more, though? Was Karn would call him like Mole Rat.
Oh, man.
Mouse Trap. Yeah, Karn, of course, everybody knows who Karn is now. He's like a fixture of the Korean community. He always tries to qualify. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you know what I mean. He trolls Moltrap. We're going to try to pick Moltrap up at the airport if we can later today, but I don't know. We might have some casting to do. We'll see.
Yeah, we might. We might have to do some casting later on tonight.
Yep. We should do some casting right now. We're in this game.
Well, yeah, all right. So, guys, I'll give you guys a recap. I mean, you guys have been watching it. Basically, it's been your generic one-gate expand into double gas, into teching up to the reactor's starport while pressuring a little bit with the first unit to see what your opponent's doing, but backing off because you see that there are 5 sentries. That's what's happened. There's like the 20-second recap from Wolf.
That was perfect, man. I couldn't have said it better myself.
vanvanth going for very fast robotics bay again, getting it like off of one gate before adding additional gateways.
And an armory for GanZI. That is interesting.
That's really fast, yeah.
Now, is he doing it? He is building another engineering base, so he's going to have 2 engineering bases. I've got a feeling he just wants to get really fast bio upgrades. I would love to see him actually go mech. I think it's a little bit too late for that, but
we'll see what he's got in mind. We can't call it just yet. If he makes a Thor, I'll be a little bit surprised, especially since he's flying his factory right now.
I'm like 99.9% sure it's for that.
I'm actually really 102% sure it's not for Thor's, yeah.
How can you be that sure?
Well, it's because his +1 is just finishing now, and he's going to be. This is actually a really good time for that armory to finish. They're finishing at the exact same time.
We know it's going to happen. We actually like radioed to him.
We're basically what's going on with Doa and I right now is we're just like getting excited about the possibility that mech's can happen in TVP, but it's just not. We're like, well, it could happen. It's like he's going bio. He's got like 5 barracks and he's floating his factory away, but maybe he's gonna like land his factory over there and make Thors from the factory.
And once
maybe
once Thorzane gets here, we'll be like, you have to do it. You have to go mech in TVP.
I mean, his name is Thorzane after all.
Exactly. He's getting here today too, I think.
Yeah, I believe. Well, I know he's flying. I believe at the very least.
Yeah, it's like Thorzane, Naniwa, Sase. I think they're all getting here today. A lot of people coming to Korea.
I love this play. We're basically seeing what vanvanth did last game repeated on a different map, and this drop's going to want to turn around and hit that Nexus immediately. Or I would.
I think so.
But it looks like he's going to use the factory to draw these forces over here and then go into the main.
Nice. All right, so this could actually do some damage. He could kill a good amount of probes. Here he comes. And there's that moment of silence there. They're going to run in, focus on some probes, and kill.
He may get the support bay if he wants to, but the units are back just in time. He's going to lift up GanZI.
Yeah, he's
so safe with his drops. I almost feel like he's too safe. He could have killed those stalkers, then lifted up.
The Colossi are right there. They're able to walk across that ridiculous little bridge between the 2 bases.
The ridiculous little bridge.
I'm calling it the ridiculous little bridge there,
that's
man.
what a lot of Terran players call it, man, because I don't know if you know this. If you put a pylon on the edge, you get vision of the other side. You can do blink stock rollins. You can blink over there.
Gee, that's fun.
I'm sure every Terran has dealt with that at some point on this map.
Exactly.
I actually haven't tried it yet. Karn told me about it. It was the first person I heard it about. I was like, oh, I kind of want to do that.
Like
I haven't done it yet.
It's like the secret bridges in Xel'Naga Caverns. These are the ridiculous bridges in Tundra and Malter.
Dropship flies all the way home. Not flying first class.
Nope. But at least it gets, movies it can watch.
I'm sure the Marines get to watch movies. The unfortunate part, though, is you're in the middle of that really good Korean drama.
That's
and
right.
then you get kicked out of the dropship and there's stalkers and you're like, I'm being killed by a Korean now?
And then you're all emotional because you're watching the dropship. You're like, I can't handle this right now. Well, I don't know. Blink almost done. And it looks like he's getting ship weapons right away, too. So he's really, really, really committing to... actually, what do you think about this? Less Vikings, but Viking upgrades, or more Vikings?
Well, I think it depends on the situation. It depends on how many Colossi your opponent has and how many he's had for a while. If it looks like he wants to be committing to more Colossi, that's when you get the upgrades. And if he's just got more Colossi now, then you make the Vikings. The Vikings, I've seen a lot of people overcommit to Vikings recently, and it's a little bit scary. And that's one of those things I was talking about earlier. We were both discussing this. Is the finding the balance and how many Colossi he makes. You have to do really good scouting. That's why he's got that factory over there.
Yep, a little bit of a drop, didn't really do anything there.
Yeah, he keeps poking with these drops. He wants to see how many Colossi his opponent has.
That's actually one thing that we didn't see in a lot in those TVPs we were watching in those European events is that the Terran players were just sitting there. They weren't being active. They weren't dropping and things like that. One thing I also want to point out, too, is that third base that GanZI's taken down at like the 6 o'clock position on the map. I like that he's kind of snuck a third. That's cool. vanvanth doesn't know about it yet, and looks like the Vikings are going to fly up to see if maybe
he's just continuing to drop here, and I love this. What he's trying to do with these Vikings is catch these Colossi when they're moving to defend the drop, and he does back away, something you can do with Vikings, a lot of Terrans do this, is very frustrating, is if you know your opponent's just going to 1A his units back, you go to the cliff. Because that's where the Colossi are going to be and the Stalkers aren't going to be, and then you target down the Colossi. Well,
the nice thing about Teldrim Altar for TVP is that you can kind of hover around with those Vikings at that spot that we see the factory is right now, and you can kind of just hang out there for a little bit and maybe try to snipe a Colossi or two.
Supply-wise, GanZI is up about 22 supply.
Yep.
Charge, though, is finishing. He's got an Archon joining into the fray here. But something like you were talking about earlier, something we don't see in those European events and we see like here is just the dropship constantly being there. Yeah, he doesn't really kill anything with it, but it's always there.
Yeah.
So vanvanth can't move out. He can't move out, and he's scared about taking a 4th base. Whereas GanZi's going to float a 4th command center over there right now. Ghost Academy finishing up. GanZI just kind of controlling his opponent here.
And he's actually already almost has +3 infantry weapons right now. Which is actually...
Yeah, and +2 ship weapons is a third of the way done as well. Starts the Mobius reactor immediately.
What are the upgrades for Bonbon right now?
He is starting 2 forges. I don't think he has any. He has absolutely none.
Ooh, all right. That is actually really good for GanZI.
Yeah,
right now.
I can't imagine that Bonbon's is going to take this game. He's actually supply blocked right now. He's losing another pylon.
Yep.
It's going to be very difficult to hold this. The Vikings in a perfect spot to hit Colossi.
And look at that. 3 for infantry weapons finishing like right now. Nice timing by GanZI. A little bit early maybe, but the Vikings are in a great position. Keeping the Stalkers occupied. He's absolutely annihilating those Colossi.
Yeah, he's not even losing his Vikings really. The Bio army falling pretty quickly, but he has just enough to crush the rest of this with the medevacs, with the upgrades.
Well, he's going to be able to reinforce this so quickly, and the Colossus count for Bonbon is going to take a long time to get to where it was. Landing the Vikings even to make sure that he's got enough.
Yeah, and the Zealots were at the back, dying very quickly here.
Yeah,
he's blinking his Stalkers back, but it's not enough. GG!
There it is, and we are all tied up.
Yes, we are. Like, come back on camera, we're tied up, we can't move.
We're actually tied up. So exciting at the GSL. You know, I actually had a friend that specialized in the type of magic where you like get tied up and escape from it. Probably called escape magic.
Special type of magic?
It's a special type.
Oh, it's funny when people talk to me about magic, when they say the word magic, I'm like, well, it's just an illusion. I like the idea of like illusion better. When people say magic, I'm like, wait, your friend actually has magical powers? Like, are you crazy?
He does. He actually does.
My friend specializes in magic. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, is he Mickey?
Noah and his magic friends.
Spins his wand around, and then like the Walt Disney appears, and
he doesn't do that.
No, yeah, it's
he's
like
way too cool to do that.
He's like, well, Disney needs to pay me before I start doing this.
Yep, that's right.
Well, the third map is going to be Xel'Naga Fortress.
Yeah. And that's an interesting map in TVP. We were talking about this. We talk about this stuff. Well, we live together, so we talk about Starcraft 2 all the time. But we were kind of talking about the viability or the usefulness of Void Ray all-ins on this map versus Terran. We see it quite a bit. Actually.
Yeah, we do. Void Ray all-ins are pretty good on this map. So just because of the way the architecture is, there's a lot of area for you to hide pylons and warp units onto the high ground. And, of course, it's a very short rush distance. There's a lot of places to put Void Rays, hide your Stargate. So there's all these little things that just kind of make a Void Ray all-in good on this map.
Yeah. And not to mention that Xel'Naga Tower disappears like 7 minutes into the game. Well, 7 Blizzard minutes, which is actually faster than real minutes.
Yeah.
And the question is, if we had Blizzard minutes in the real world, what kind of effect would that have on our daily lives, man?
I don't know. I feel like I would never have enough time to do the things that I would want to do.
I feel like I'd be able to do more things.
Why?
Because, okay, never mind. I was going to do some like mathematical equation, then I realized that I majored in art in college, and that I actually don't know any
I'm just like trying to embarrass you. I'm like, why?
Thanks.
You actually could be right. Oh. Well, the thing is, if we still only have 24 hours and the time goes by faster...
We have more minutes than an hour, though.
What if we, like, moved faster? What if, actually, we were just on ×2 speed like we were watching a replay?
We're only on
what
fast
would life
right
be like then?
We'll be on faster later.
Yeah.
Be able to walk to the studio a lot faster, that's for sure.
Yeah, but then the games wouldn't last as long.
Yeah,
what if you could switch it? What if you just pressed your little, like, minus key on the keyboard? All right, let's jump into the game.